You know, I want to tell you a little bit about this statistic that we found from the American Cancer Society. Listen to this. Cervical cancer was once one of the most common causes of cancer death for American women. Now, listen to this. Between 1955 and 1992, the cervical cancer death rate declined by almost 70%. The main reason for this was the Pap smear. Our next guest survived cervical cancer. We're so pleased to welcome Tamika Felter to the show. Can you please give her a big round of applause, everybody?
Thank you.
She's here with you this morning to share her story. How did you discover, Tamika, that you had cervical cancer?
I was one of those women. I was living life every day, you know, going to work, just being an active part of my family. But I was also one of many Americans at the time who didn't have health insurance. And because I didn't think anything was wrong with me, I didn't need to go to the doctor. So I missed my Pap test. And when I finally got a job with insurance, I went to the doctor. And thankfully, I had a doctor who did all the necessary screenings. What I found out when I went back for my follow-up was that I had cervical cancer. And you know how people say, you know, I want to grow up and be like that person? Well, I don't want any of you to be like me, because we live in a world where we can prevent cervical cancer. We have all the tools, and I want to make sure you and your viewers know that, and so that they do not suffer from cervical cancer.
Do you mind if I ask how old you were when you went for this Pap
I was
test?
25 years old.
25 years old.
And because of it, I lost my fertility. I'll never know what it's like to create life, to feel a baby kick inside of me. Now, I know now there are other ways that I can be a mom, but it is devastating for me because having cervical cancer is so incredibly hard, Danielle, but preventing it, it's so easy.
And just as a side note here, one of the things Tamika said to me off camera is that she's recently gotten engaged and she is going to be a mother because...
And I'll try not to cry.
Her fiance has a daughter, so God is good. When you discovered you had cervical cancer, what treatments did you have to go through and what was that experience like?
So, again, this is what doesn't have to have happen. But I had a radical hysterectomy. So I had everything removed that I thought made me a woman. Then I had to endure chemotherapy and radiation, and all of that sounds hard, right? That's the easy stuff compared to what I was left with. I have a scar every day that reminds me what this cancer did to me. I have radiation burns. Cancer is the gift that keeps on giving, and it is not a fun thing. You know, I'm a 37-year-old woman. I have a whole list of health issues that I don't have because I'm overweight. I didn't have before cancer. I have because I got cancer. When Danielle was reading the statistics from the American Cancer Society, it's hard for me because I'm one of those numbers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the great things about you being here is that, you know, through every test there is a testimony. But we want to really give emphasis to the fact that you are cancer-free.
Yes.
Today.
11
you
years.
are cancer-free today, 11 years. And out of that experience, you have created something good to help other women. Tell us about Tamika and Friends.
Tamika and Friends was my baby. When I was diagnosed in 2001, you got cancer and you didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So I never went into this thinking I would become an advocate. But it was really knowing that no one knew about HPV's connection to cervical cancer. A lot of women go in and get a Pap test and they don't even know why they're getting it. A lot of women have HPV and they're walking around and they don't know it. And out of that passion, I want to scream, you know, here are these tools that you need.
Let's talk about what women can do to be their own best advocate in terms of how they can help detect and possibly even prevent this from happening to them in the first place.
Everybody's familiar with the Pap test, and this is important for the men too. Make sure that you share it with the women in your life. I don't care if it's just a coworker you really don't like. Share it with her too, because she probably needs it, okay?
Which could be a little awkward, but that's all right.
It could be. We're about saving lives.
Yeah.
So, the Pap test, a wonderful thing. Before the Pap test, cervical cancer used to be the #1 killer of women. The Pap test came along and it changed things. So for women 30 and over, we have the Digene HPV test. And it's simple. You do that along with your Pap test. I don't want my story to be yours. Women are still dying from cervical cancer. Women are still losing their fertility. This doesn't need to happen. We have the tools. Let's use the tools.
We have the tools, and we have Tamika spreading a wonderful message for all of us. It has been just such a powerful story. Thank you so much for coming by, and you didn't cry. You kept the tears intact. We are happy about that.
I tried.
And to find out more about cervical cancer and, of course, the very important Diogene HPV test that Tamika mentioned, simply go to the website hpvtest.com.